Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and this is To the Point. In a heated Thursday night meeting, a Southern California school district voted in favor of a controversial policy requiring staff to notify parents if their children want to use a different pronoun or be called by a different name. Now, the state superintendent was at the meeting and had to be escorted out by security as tempers flared. Tony Thurmond urging a school board to reject the policy. Tonight, our Becca Habegger is hearing from Thurmond and a state lawmaker who wants to expand this rule to all schools in the state.
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Emotions ran high in this debate over parental rights versus the privacy and safety of LGBTQ plus students.
We're going to reconvene. Everybody sit down.
It played out Thursday night at the Chino Valley Unified School District Board meeting in Southern California's San Bernardino County, part of a broader conversation happening throughout the state. Board members ultimately voted in favor of this new parental notification policy. It requires teachers, counselors, and staff to notify a student's parents within 3 days of learning the student wants to be treated as a gender other than the sex they were assigned at birth. That includes asking to go by a different name or pronouns, using a different restroom, or join a sports team that doesn't correspond with their sex assigned at birth.
Chino Valley is the first district that I have seen take this issue up.
California's Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond, spoke with ABC 10 the day after the meeting. He also spoke during the public comment section of the meeting, saying students in that district invited him to come weigh in.
I raised the example of a number of young people who are not in a home where it's safe for them to talk about their sexual orientation. I talked about the 40% of students who identify as LGBTQ plus who have thought about suicide, and that a policy like this creates a high risk for many students to find themselves having suicidal thoughts, and that from a humanitarian standpoint, we should be thinking about what's best for our kids. I talked about the need to balance what I believe in, that parents have rights, and balance that with the right of our students to be safe, and that we should engage in dialogue.
We anticipate several other districts to follow suit after Chino.
Republican Assemblymember Bill Esaley also spoke at the meeting and with ABC 10 the day after. He authored a parental notification bill that would require a similar practice at all California public school districts. It died in committee this session, but his office says he's committed to bringing it back next session.
I do think it's important for parents to be involved. When a child is experiencing gender dysphoria, it's a real issue, and it puts them at higher risk for mental health issues, including suicide. And we know through studies that the students do better with parental support. So to exclude parents, I think, is actually more harmful to the kids than positive.
A state Attorney General Rob Banta is also weighing in, saying in a letter to the district, by allowing for the disclosure of a student's gender identity without their consent, this policy would potentially put them in a harmful situation, saying he will take action.
Yeah, and Becca, some people might be wondering, why is this a state issue? Shouldn't it really be handled at the local level?
Yeah, I asked that of both Thurmond and the Assembly member. They told me they agree that local control is best, but, ultimately the Assembly member Esaley says he wrote that bill in response to the Department of Education, which says students are allowed to keep their gender identity private from their parents. The Assemblyman says the bill is his way of pushing back. Now, as for the superintendent, he says he feels it's appropriate for the state to step in when school board policy is causing students to feel threatened and endangered.
All right, Becca, thank you so much. And I would also like to mention that I reached out to the San Joaquin Pride Center today. They say that what happened in Southern California is just a very nuanced situation. And oftentimes the voices of the community in question are entirely left out of the conversation.
No parent wants their child to keep secrets from them. It doesn't take into account the very real danger and threat of violence that a lot of our community members face on a very regular basis. This is violence that can happen within families.
If you have something to say about this, reach out to me and the team. You can text us, very easy, 916-321-3310. Tonight, piles of trash, abandoned cars, propane and gas tanks has neighbors in Pollock Pines upset. They say over the last 3 years, they have complained to multiple agencies in El Dorado County. Animal control just came to clean up all this up, but they tell us that they want more to be done.
That people came and took animals away too, but there was a whole bunch of dead ones there. Pigs and sheep, goats, chickens, lizards, a skunk.
What's your concern?
Fire. This is a fire waiting to happen, and it's going to take my house with it. Fuel cans, propane tanks, all kinds of oil and parts, and all these cars are no good.
El Dorado County tells us the owner of this home has until July 28th to clean up the property, or they'll be fined an additional $1,000 and face misdemeanor charges. A house fire in North Highlands has left 3 people without a home. The search is now on for a person of interest seen in this video around the time the fire started. If you have any information of who this might be, make sure that you give Sacramento Metro Fire Arson Tip Line a call. Downtown Marysville lost power this afternoon after a fire in the area of the Glacier Ice Building. Neighbors described seeing huge flames and a very quick fire department response. On to the point, we hold the powerful accountable. After a murder suspect escaped from a Roseville hospital, the agency responsible is refusing to answer our questions.
And I'll take full responsibility, and we'll make sure it never happens again.
That was Placer County Sheriff Wayne Wu earlier this month saying the escape of a dangerous inmate should never have happened. After a massive 33-hour manhunt around Roseville and Rockland, deputies captured Eric Abril. He's back behind bars awaiting trial on murder charges, accused of taking and shooting hostages. ABC 10 investigative reporter Brandon Ritteman has been pushing for details from the Placer County Sheriff's Office, trying to learn how this escape was possible. And Brandon, I have to ask you, has the Sheriff's Office been open about any of this?
Not about everything. We filed half a dozen requests for public records about this escape, almost all of which the Placer County Sheriff's Office refused to show us. The Sheriff's Office is keeping secret even some very basic details, like the staffing level of deputies who are paid with your tax dollars. The inmate in this story keeps putting the actions of law enforcement under a microscope. Back in April, officers tried to serve a search warrant on Eric Abril in a Roseville park. He shot one of the officers, they say, and a couple that he took hostage. James McEgan, the husband in that couple, died.
It shouldn't have happened to them.
Fast forward to this month.
As the sheriff who's in charge of the jail and the custody of prisoners, this should have never happened.
Held on murder charges, Eric Abril got away from the Placer County Sheriff's Office.
Just after 3 a.m., inmate Eric Abril was able to escape.
We learned only one deputy was assigned to act as Abril's guard during a trip to the hospital.
And I'll take full responsibility.
The sheriff said he was looking into how his office decided to make a change back in May. Instead of needing 2 deputies to act as guards, he was classified as only needing 1. Once Abril was back in handcuffs, we used the California Public Records Act to press the sheriff for more details. But almost all the records we asked for, the sheriff's office kept secret. We got just 1 page showing a deputy was assigned to guard Abril when he left the jail, but most of the other details on the page were blacked out.
Well, that's exactly why we have a Public Records Act, so we can verify what politicians promise to us. The public generally has a right to the full story, not just the official story.
David Loy, a lawyer with the First Amendment Coalition, was especially troubled that the Placer County Sheriff refused to release its duty rosters, a list of who was working around the time of the escape, and it refused to share its minimum staffing levels. The Sheriff's Office told us making those facts public wouldn't be in the public interest, even though the sheriff personally fielded questions about them.
I have no information to believe that this was at all related to staffing levels.
That would seem to be, to me, an acknowledgement by the sheriff himself that there is public interest in knowing about the staffing levels.
I agree. Whether the sheriff made that statement or not, the public always has an interest in knowing who's on the public payroll, are they doing their job, how are they being managed, how are they being allocated. You know, it's our tax dollars.
We expect inmates to stay locked up. For now, the sheriff seems intent on keeping key information locked up too. We sent a long list of questions to the Sheriff's Office for this story, but received no reply by our deadline this afternoon.
Yeah, you weren't able to get the answers that you were hoping for, but you were able to use the Public Records Act to rule something out in this case. What was that specifically?
Yeah, so under the PRA in California, an agency can do one of 3 basic things when you ask for a public record. They can give you that record, they can withhold it, and then they're supposed to tell you why. Or they'll tell you there is no record. And that is what the Placer County Sheriff's Office told us when we asked if they had any kind of formal agreement with the hospital about how to manage patients who are in custody. The hospital, Placer Roseville, has pointed us to the Sheriff's Office when we've asked them for any details about this case.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much. Of course, you already know we'll continue to follow this.
Thanks.
Up next, a Roseville family chased by this rattlesnake in their pool. What a professional that removes these has to say.
The heat dome over California continues through the weekend. How long it's lasting and how cool we can expect temperatures to finally get.
And if you're thinking about going to the Bay this weekend, why you really, really need to plan ahead. Rattlesnakes are excellent swimmers. A Roseville homeowner shared this image with us, saying her family was chased by this snake while they were swimming in the pool. She says it was aggressive. We asked a rattlesnake removal professional about this, and he wants parents to walk their backyards, especially where kids or pets play. And snakes appear on these triple-digit days when it starts to get really hot outside. So as we bring in meteorologist Carly Gomez, it's been really hot today.
Really hot. I mean, triple-digit heat the second weekend in a row. These rattlesnakes, they like the heat. They want to be out in it. And what we are seeing with them is they're also trying to find some water. But what we're looking at highs today, I mean, it was so hot out there. They're definitely out and about. 105 in Marysville, 104 in Sacramento, 107 in Stockton, 103 Modesto. You're looking at upper 90s and triple digits in the foothills with even a high today of 91 degrees in Truckee. We saw a record broken for downtown Sacramento as they got to about 108 degrees for downtown's record, beating out the 106 record there in 1996. Another thing to note, Redding Red Bluff tied their record at 112 degrees. Everyone else came short, which I'm sure is some good news for a lot of people dealing with the heat. Right now in the Big Mountain backyard, you're looking at temperatures now at 102 in Sacramento, Stockton 105, 102 in Modesto, Marysville 104, 86 degrees in Tahoe currently. High pressure overhead creating that heat advisory in effect and excessive heat warning in Southern California and the desert Southwest. We'll see temperatures again tomorrow, lasting until 11 p.m. with the heat advisory. Temperatures up to even as high as 111 degrees. Overnight lows not really dropping too much. Foothills could even see them just slightly below 80 degrees. Meanwhile, valley spots upper 60s and low 70s. As we take a look at the foothills, you're looking at temperatures around 105 in Sonora tomorrow, 108 potentially in Ione, 103 in Auburn, 92 in Truckee. Bay Area, not really seeing too much relief unless you're headed to San Francisco and along the coastline. Otherwise, you're looking at temperatures in Napa at 96, 100 in Fairfield, 105 in Vacaville, Sacramento and San Joaquin Valley spots again anywhere from about 105, 106 to about 109 degrees. That 10-day forecast does bring our temperatures into the upper 90s to triple digits Sunday, mid to low 90s as we move through next week. Alex.
Thanks, Carly. Up next, prepare for delays on I-80 this weekend. After the break, we'll show you the exact spots Caltrans plans to shut down. Come 9 o'clock, parts of I-80 are shutting down. So if you plan to go to the Bay Area over the next several weekends, it is going to impact you. Here's traffic reporter Jordan Tolbert.
Caltrans is closing part of east and westbound Interstate 80 on 4 different weekends from now until September for pavement repair. Now, the 56-hour closures are happening in Contra Costa County, but will impact people heading back from the Bay Area this weekend on eastbound Interstate 80. Now, eastbound 80 will be closed and traffic detoured beginning at the eastbound I-80 and State Route 4 interchange in Hercules all the way to Crockett, just west of the Carquinez Bridge. Now, closures start Friday today after 9 p.m. and end on the following Monday at 5 a.m. If you're traveling between the Bay Area and Sacramento, try your best to avoid it. Eastbound closures will happen this weekend of July 21st, then August 4th and 18th weekends. However, westbound 80 will be open and there are detours available. Caltrans says this stretch sees thousands of drivers each day, but they just have to fix this worn out road.
Yeah, Caltrans says that they don't want to do this, but fixes just need to be made. So for more on the closure, head to abc10.com/tothepoint. And if you're looking for something to do fun in town, the State Fair continues this weekend. Heat is still a concern. There are misters and large buildings for people to cool off in. Big bands are performing. The Isley Brothers are tomorrow. Third Eye Blind playing on Sunday. And every Friday we hit the back roads. Tonight, John Bartell takes us to cattle country to see what happens when a big rodeo comes to a small town.
I get a lot of emails and messages from viewers inviting me to explore their hometown, but I have yet to get as many emails as I did from Roy Stewart, asking me to come to his hometown of Stoney Ford.
Roy,
So for the past 4 years now, you have been emailing me, and for the past 4 years, you've been emailing me to come out to Stoney Ford. What's so great about Stoney Ford?
Come on, let me show you.
All right. Stoney Ford's at the eastern edge of Colusa County. It's cattle country, remote, and less than 150 people live out here. One of the main attractions is the Mendocino National Forest, but the other attraction is the Stoney Ford Rodeo. It seems like a small town to have a rodeo in.
I know. That's why I think we're the smallest venue on the circuit for a PRCA rodeo.
PRCA stands for Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, and they put on some of the biggest rodeos in the U.S. So it's a pretty big deal that Stoney Ford is on their circuit. And this year, Roy Stewart is the Grand Marshal. What kind of people live in Stoney Ford?
It's mostly ranchers and retirees like myself.
The ranching and rodeo lifestyle of Stoney Ford dates back to the 1890s when the town was founded. And the best person to talk about that is Joyce Bond, the town historian.
Well, Stoney Ford got its name from fording the creek with all the rocks.
Like I said, it's remote out here. The town folk had to ford the creek on the rocks for many years. It was such a chore to get to civilization that they developed what's called the message rock.
People would leave a note. Maybe I needed milk from town or something, and you would go by and you'd pick it up and you would bring it back.
Eventually the town got a bridge, which made it easier to move cattle and for spectators to get to the rodeo. The first one was in 1939.
It was wild horses and things, and the admission was $1.
If you're interested, you can see rodeo relics from the past and learn about the Horsemen's Association at the Stoney Ford Museum. And if you have time, drive down the street to the old 1896 St. Mary's Mountain Church, which was relocated and restored because it was in the way of a reservoir project.
And they cut it in 3 pieces and hauled it by horses and wagon and put it together over here.
Before I headed back to the rodeo, Joyce told me to stop by the general store. Not a country store unless you got worms for fishing here. Owner Trish Dearman keeps her store well stocked during the rodeo. Her #1 seller is her famous sub sandwiches.
They come in and I've waited a whole year for this. I need a sandwich.
Fireball. Back at the rodeo, mud was flying. We got there just in time to see little Murphy Trahan win the mutton busting competition. What's mutton busting, you ask? Well, the rules are pretty simple. The kid who rides the sheep the longest wins. What was it like when he opened the gate up?
I fell down.
Especially in this. You did? Yeah. The mud this year had everyone tripping and falling, including the rodeo clown. According to barrel racer Emma Canilia, it's not normally like this.
No, it's usually like 90, 100 degrees here, and so it's kind of weird that it's raining this year.
Yes, it's remote, and yes, it's not that populated, but the town of Stoney Ford has a certain welcoming charm about it, and a heck of a rodeo for anyone looking to experience California's cattle country.
Kind of a cow town, yes.
From the Stoney Ford Rodeo, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Now it's your turn. Got something that you would like us to look into? Make sure you text John and let him know all about it at 916-321-3310. After the break, is California wasting its water? Our weather team is here all next week with us on To The Point for a special investigation. Is California wasting its water? Here's a sneak peek.
At times, it felt the rain and snow wouldn't stop.
We begin with breaking news this morning. Powerful wind and rain moving through our area right now.
The park is flooded.
The water almost up to my knees, and more water continues to flow.
I got you.
Roads flooded, snow trapped people in their homes.
Reservoirs released water, a lot of it washed out to sea.
The ABC 10 weather team investigates. Is California wasting water?
We'll be talking about our snowpack, reservoirs, groundwater, and the controversial Delta Tunnel project. That's all coming up next week right here on To The Point at 6:30. As always, we want to hear what's going on in your community, so make sure you reach out to me and the team. You can always send us an email at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay cool. I'll see you on Monday. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.